masters of the mind-blowing out there, and welcome to More Than Meets the Eye, where we're uncovering the conspiracy fact the government doesn't want you to know about. As always, I'm your host, Alexander Sorkin, and this week, I thought I'd bring it back a little closer to home. Since we began this little show of ours, we've been really focusing on space and the existence of extraterrestrial life. But that is only one small drop in the world of conspiracy theories. So how about we shift our gaze to something more terrestrial? Namely, one John McAfee, may he rest in peace. Now, some of you might think that name sounds familiar, but don't know exactly who he is. The reason it sounds familiar is because he's the man behind McAfee Antivirus. But in all honesty, that's one of the least interesting things about him. The millionaire tech mogul was eccentric, to say the least. He was suspected of running a meth lab at one point, pursuing sketchy cryptocurrency deals, and he may or may not have murdered his neighbor while living in Belize. But he was never actually charged with any of these. The story of the murder goes that this neighbor was tired of McAfee's dogs being unleashed while he would make his way to the bar down the beach from their houses, and he expressed a desire to poison the dogs. Then one day, McAfee's dog died, and the next day, wouldn't you know it, McAfee's neighbor was found dead with a 9mm bullet casing next to him. Instead of sticking around to try and clear his name like most innocent people would do, McAfee jumped ship and ran to Guatemala, claiming that this neighbor's murder was actually a failed hit out on him and he was fleeing for his life. But I digress. You're probably wondering why I'm discussing this man today. Well, in 2020, he was arrested while boarding a plane from Turkey to Spain for security fraud and was being held in a Spanish prison. Then on June 23rd of this year, he was found dead in his cell from apparent suicide, just hours after the Spanish government authorized his extradition to the United States. Or so the mainstream media would want you to believe. There are a number of clues that point to the fact that this may not have been indeed a suicide, but something far more sinister, including a tweet from McAfee himself that he put out on October 15th, 2020. The tweet reads, "I am content in here. I have friends. The food is good. All is well. Know that if I hang myself, a la Epstein, it will be no fault of mine." I mean, that's pretty clear as day. Furthermore, in 2019, he released this tweet with accompanying picture. Getting subtle messages from US officials saying in effect, "We're coming for you, McAfee. You're going to kill yourself. I got a tattoo today just in case. If I suicide myself, I didn't. I was whacked. Check my right arm." It seems like he knew something like this was bound to happen eventually, and was doing everything in his power to let us know that it wasn't him. And now this is where the story gets interesting. According to other tweets by McAfee, he had amassed over 31 terabytes of incriminating data over the years, including data on corrupt CIA agents and 2 Bahamian officials. He went on to say that the instant I disappear, the information is released. Rumors since his death have been spiraling about just how he might deliver this information. But one theory is that he was using an Ethereum-based ERC-20 token called WAC to operate a deadman switch. The smart contract that contained this token also happened to be named Epstein. Since his death, the contract and tokens have been seeing movement on the blockchain. Of course, this is pure speculation, but it does make you wonder, could this all be coincidence? It seems unlikely. And in regards to McAfee's death, his closest circle of friends and family don't believe he was suicidal at all. So was his death a government hit job? Or was it merely a sad end to the life of a wild man after finding out he would be extradited back to the US and held accountable for tax fraud? At this point, it's hard to say, but there's definitely something fishy going on here. If that 31 terabytes of data is released, however, we are in for one wild ride. But that's all the time we have for this week, folks. John McAfee's death is a tragedy, and much like his life, it's surrounded by myth, speculation, and just a little bit of insanity. But maybe it's not all in vain if those files of his ever see the light of day. If there are any other conspiracy theories you'd like me to cover, leave a comment down below. Make sure to check out our Patreon, and remember, there's more than meets the eye.